Thank you again for the opportunity to do this. We're actually going to get a bit more interactive, and this is more about you discussing things in groups. So just before I just talk about what we're going to do, could I ask that those of you that are sat at tables of either one or, if there's just one or two of you, if you could move onto other tables so that we can have kind of groups of maybe, say, about 8 per table. That would be really great. Thank you. Great. Thank you. I will just quickly talk through what we're going to do today. So this is kind of the question. This is our exam question. What are the big external drivers of change in ASEAN? Now, just the background to this and why we're talking about this today is British Council are working or thinking about developing a strategy to help develop appropriate HE models for this grouping, to work with national HE representatives, which is yourselves, to research whether the models developed primarily in the UK, Europe and the US can be applied within the region. And the output of this piece of work hopefully will be a set of recommendations and a toolkit for universities and governments to use. So today is kind of a starter for that, a bit of a taster session to begin that process. So what we're going to do is, in each group, is do a STEEP analysis. So STEEP, this is very much trying to get beyond organizational issues. So internal environment, this is talking about, questions of resource management and operations. Transactional environment, this is the kind of sector, I suppose. These are where your competitors are, where students are, where stakeholders are. And actually we're trying to get a step outside of that into this contextual environment. So what are the driving forces that may not actually be obvious now to you as an institution or as a government, but what are those big issues that are going to impact us in the future? And so, yeah, the purpose is to look at contextual environment, characterize the drivers that are operating, and then consider what, if any, effect they might have on the, you as organizations and the region as a whole. So in your groups, we're going to discuss drivers in each of the STEEP areas. Going to try and cluster these into, no doubt you'll come up with similar ideas, so kind of try and cluster them together at the end when we feed back. And in your groups, if you could identify one or two of the most significant drivers that you think will have the most impact. And then at the end, each table, so you could also choose someone that will feed back, each table will just feed those back, and Caroline Chipperfield is going to capture these, I think on the computer, and these are genuinely going to help inform the process of coming up with a strategy. So I will leave this slide up. So it's the 5 drivers down the side. These are some of the ones that I talked about earlier in my presentation that may or may not be helpful. So look at those if you want, or ignore them if you want, just as pointers. But now it's really over to you. I think we've probably got kind of 20, 25 minutes to go through that. So maybe 5 minutes per area, and then we'll come back to reporting. Does that make sense? Is that okay to get going? A nod or a... Yes, good. Okay, great. Over to you.